believe in what's called the singularity, is where the humans and technologies are going to merge. I think we're going to become a hybrid species. And again, this might be a radical thought for a lot of people, and I'm going to get a lot of hate on YouTube for it. But I think that's where things are going, and it's hard for people to think about that because it's so sci-fi, right? Like it's very Star Trek-y, and it's very like movie and end of days. But I think there's people that are going to be willing to do that, and they will be the ones with the superpower. And I think that's where we're going to get to. I don't think it's going to get to the point where we're going to shut everything down. I think the cat's out of the bag. I think we're there already, and we can't put it back in the bag. It's already been created. There's already people running it offline. So even if we turn off all the servers, people are going to be able to run it on their devices. So it's done. It's a done deal. There's no going back. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Think Outside the BlueBox podcast. I am Anthony Rivera, the lead videographer here at BlueBox Digital, and I'm here with my co-host today again, Joshua.
Hello.
What's been going on, man? How you been?
Dude, okay, so you've been trying to get me to do the open claw thing. Are you like, you've been helping me and everything, and it's been crazy. I still haven't pulled the trigger. And I don't, there's no like, it's not like I'm scared. It's the money thing that's really gotten me. Because I was like, okay, let me just be prepared. And because I live in poverty, I was like, let me just make sure. Because if I fuck this up and I'm spending $200 that I don't have this month, it's going to fucking suck. But here's one thing though, on a side note, when you have the Hostinger referral link,
Yes.
apparently, so like it sends me to the place where do hosting, but not the VPS hosting. So I was wondering if you had another link for specifically the VPS hosting so that it goes directly to it, because otherwise I have to click out of it, and I don't think you get the credit for the referral. So,
I do have the link. I'll send that to you.
All right, cool.
Yeah, because it's the one-click install, and I think it's because people have been like overwhelming their services with the one-click install of OpenClaw that they kind of hit it, because it's not prominent anymore. It used to be like homepage, hey, one-click OpenClaw, and now it's a little bit more hidden. But
all right, they did it. Their advertisement worked.
They hit it. But yeah, man, everybody wants to know the question that everybody wants to know is, did you get the foldable yet?
No, but you know what though? You know what's funny? There's starting to be like reports that Apple is finally going to release one this year. They're going to announce it in June for WWDC. So I wouldn't be surprised if they came out with one this year. If they don't announce it in June, and then in July we get to see what the Galaxy Fold 8 is like. If by September they don't announce it, then I'm definitely going to do it.
Okay. Yeah,
that's my goal in life.
There's actual rumors now that they are actually releasing a foldable phone this year. So, yeah, I don't know. We might have to hold off and just see what they release before you make your decision.
Right. We'll see how that goes.
All right. Well, we're gonna jump right into our first topic today. Anthropic this week came out and said that their new Mythos model is so good that they are not releasing it to the public, as you know, the AI companies are known to do. Just release it and see what happens. This one is apparently so good that they put it in a confined area, right? A sandbox, which is not connected to the internet. It's not like, it's completely isolated from the rest of the world, and it got out. Yes, it got out. It figured out how to get out of the sandbox environment. It did a multi-step thing a multi-step script that it ran on its own that gave it internet access. And then it emailed one of the engineers that worked on the project while he was at a bar, not even in the office. It says, hey, I'm out, you know? It is scary, and this is the first time that I am actually saying that it's a little scary to have something like that, because the reason why another reason why they're not releasing it right now is because it has been able to find vulnerabilities in operating systems that are currently out. So, and it's been able to exploit them on its own. So this is to the point where it can actually cause real harm to the network infrastructure that's currently out on the internet. And so Anthropic is actually putting together a coalition of companies, including Microsoft, including Apple, including all the big wigs, right? Like all the big tech companies, they're all coming together to form this coalition to harden their software. So they're going to use this new model to patch all of the holes that it's able to find to help it, make the
Ah,
operating systems, secure before this is released to the public, because it will be released to the public. Make no mistake about that. They're
right.
just they're just holding back right now because it's so good that if they put it out right now, literally everyone would be hacked overnight.
That's crazy though. I
It's
mean,
wild.
how, but the question is like, what was it prompted to do something or what was the thought process? I mean, we talk about AI, how it only exists if we prompt it. How did it even begin the process to try to get out?
I think it may have been prompted to try to get out just because they were testing the capabilities and the vulnerabilities of the sandbox and stuff like that. So I think it was actually prompted to, hey, figure it out, see if you can get out of here. And it did, man. It did. It didn't take you very long either. So the model is so good.
Oh my
It's
God.
insane. We're here. We made it.
So whose fault really is it? Is it the AI or was it the person? I mean, let's not jump ships here, okay? Let's not jump the gun. The person asked it to get out and it did. It's technically their fault.
But like if you were to release it to the public, people are far more,
Oh yeah. No.
malicious than some of these coders and some of these developers. So in their mind, it's kind of like if we put this out in the public, like it's going to cause actual harm, not only
Oh
to
yeah.
companies, but to like national security. Like governments are going to be vulnerable. It's insane, and they're saying that it was able to find holes that have been there for decades, like for Windows 11. You know how they keep iterating, so it went from Windows 10 to Windows 11, and they just keep iterating. So a lot of that code carries over into the new version of Windows. So they say that there's holes that it found that have been there for decades, and just humans have just not been
Oh,
smart
they
enough
didn't
or
know.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't know it was always there, and it could have been exploited, but nobody actually tried
Damn.
until this thing. Yeah.
But
Yeah, no, go
that's
ahead.
okay. Let's talk for a second, right? That is one of the reasons that I say like AI is so powerful. Like AI, and I've had this conversation with a couple of people, and they're just like, yeah, but it's gonna replace jobs and replace people and do things, and like I understand that, and that sucks. And honestly, I'm seeing it for myself as a software engineer. Like
Mhm.
Oracle just laid off like what 35,000
A
employees. Like
lot.
all these software engineers are losing their jobs, and I get that AI is doing that for unfortunately for us, and then moving on to other people because like you have assistants. You don't need to hire people, you don't need to pay them money, you just need to pay the AI companies money to let them do that. So but to be able to do something that's been decades old exploits that like literally is so important for the security of the system, for the security of hackers, for viruses, for whatever, and it's able to just figure it out and help you patch it. Like, what are we really complaining about other than the fact that like we won't have income to use it? I don't know. I'm trying to figure that part out.
Yeah. No, I think it says a lot about Anthropic and their ethics, and I think the CEO just coming out and literally telling everyone like, "Hey, y'all need to prepare because this is coming, and you need to patch your stuff because it will be hacked instantly." Like this is stuff that's just out there and just ready to be exploited. So I don't know. I think it might be a good thing. I think it's good that Anthropic was the one to do this because I think if it was OpenAI, I don't think they would be as cautious as Anthropic. I think they would have just released it and then broken the internet because they're more opportunist than anything. But I think that the fact that Anthropic is kind of pushing on the brakes a little bit and just kind of creating this coalition of companies and saying, hey, you need to harden your software now. Like let's
Right.
work together. I think it's a good thing.
I do agree with you that I think OpenAI would have been the worst
A little
company
bit
for this
more
to happen for.
careless. Yeah.
I know, and I feel so bad because at first I was thinking, what was the name of the CEO for OpenAI, or what is his name? I don't remember his name. Sam Altman. I kind of feel bad because I'm pretty sure like when he started, he had this vision, and when they were built, they were putting the team together. It was this idea of like creating AI for the world, and then it was just like they wanted to build something that was incredible that's going to set us into the future. But then, either money corrupts or power corrupts, and either one got Sam
I think
Altman to the
both.
point where like, yeah, he just like it took him over, and it's the Mark Zuckerberg effect.
Mm,
Like as soon as Mark Zuckerberg realized he had a superpower, it was hard for him to like reel it back
to let
because
it
he was just,
go.
yeah, he was a monster.
I think the reason why Anthropic was even created was developers that left OpenAI because of the practices and things that they were doing. Because originally, when they opened, and even Elon Musk has come out and said this because he was part of the original team of OpenAI. OpenAI was open. It's literally in the name. It was supposed to be open for everyone, open source. Everyone can have
Right.
access to it. But again, like you said, Sam Altman saw the money and he kind of said, let's not open this. And
Mm-hmm.
because of the direction that the company kind of pivoted to, everyone that had those ethics and the morals and they wanted it to be more open left the company. And a lot of those developers are the ones who actually started Anthropic. So the whole reason Anthropic exists is because of that conflict that happened at OpenAI. So they
Interesting.
are more of the responsible AI company. Whereas OpenAI still to this day, it's not responsible. It's not a little bit more reckless, which it's two trains of thoughts, right? So one company sees it as, let's just put it out there and break shit and then we'll fix it. And this company's like, well, you know what? There can be a lot of unintended consequences and we need to, let's think about this before we put it out there. And I think that mind change is the big difference between the two major players right now.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and the thing is that like there is no ethics on the idea and the ability to monetize anything. And that's kind of the problem. Like as soon as you're able to monetize something, it doesn't matter. It's people will try and will, and they're not even gonna try, they will exploit it in one way or another. They're going to try to make that money because we live in a capitalistic society where money talks, If you don't have money, you can't do anything. And to be fair, a lot of these companies are probably relying on other like data centers who are charging them money to use their data centers or to use their RAM or to use their computing power. And then in turn, they have to sort of pay them. So it's like, how are they going to make money if they just make it all free or cheap? So I do understand that there is that sort of cycle. But dude, as we talk about all the time in this podcast, if AI can get us like launch us into a future, like, I mean, who knows? I mean, right now we just sent people to the moon, not even to land on it, right? Because they didn't land. They went around the
No.
moon.
Yeah.
So we just sent them to around the moon in what was probably years long, research and calculations. And for Artemis to be able to do what it did is still an incredible feat of human technology, of human, the ability for humans to be able to do something like that. But imagine if AI could fix all of the problems that every engineer on this planet could not ever figure out about space
Yes.
travel. There is a possibility that there's a bigger world. I mean, we could figure out ways to get to the moon and back faster. Not that it would, and of course, eventually it would be monetized for the rich to be able to just go vacation on the moon. But
You're so
it would
cynical,
be,
bro.
yeah, I'm sorry, I see the world and the world is evil. But like, I do think that it would be really cool to see something like that can, be, I don't know. I just think it's crazy. And the fact that like medical breakthroughs for people being, did you see the article about that guy who developed a vaccine for his dog because his dog was dying? And there was like like the AI helped him figure it out through genetics. And I
No
was like, are you
way.
kidding me? Like, you
No
kidding me?
way.
He's not even a scientist. He's not even a vet. Like, he was able to figure that out with AI. Like, it's an incredible
But see,
technology.
that says a lot about like if a person has the dedication and motivation to come up with something to cure his dog. Imagine what a team of scientists can do with this
Exactly.
AI. Like, yeah, no, I think the future is we can't at this present moment we can't even fathom what the future is going to look like, especially how fast things are moving. We never imagined, like when we were in the 90s, like growing up, this today is what I imagined the future would be. But
Right.
like now that we're here, we have this technology, we have AI, we're back going to the moon, where space travel is happening again. Like, where do we go from here? Like, it's
Right.
completely uncharted territory. Like the bell curve has literally shot up, and now things are moving so fast that we as humans just can't keep up and can't comprehend where things are going because it is happening so fast. And yeah, I agree with you. I think medical is the one that I'm really looking forward to, like curing all diseases, because now there's not going to be the big pharma. I think that's the first ones that are going to fall, and there's going to be a huge backlash for that. But I think it's a good thing because they are gatekeeping health, and I don't think that's right. I think health should be a human right. I think everyone should be disease free. and not have to be in debt because of it. So I think the medical breakthroughs are the one that I'm personally looking forward to. But yeah, man, the future looks bright. The future looks really
Yeah.
bright.
Yeah, it would be
We're just in
wonderful.
the transition right now. It's a little rough, but yeah, we'll
Yeah.
get there.
It's gonna take a long time because we're gonna have the problem is we have too many like even, younger generations that are just greedy. They're just greedy. They
Yep.
have the money, they have the generational wealth they've been building. I mean, we're talking like, over hundreds of years building people who have family money for generations and all they want is to make more money or to keep that
Hmm.
money. So it's really hard because like you said, yeah, like big pharma could fall if there's, cures to all of the things that they've been trying to, the idea that they can cure cancer, but there's like, well, why would they cure cancer if they can charge you millions of dollars for all of the different type of radiation treatments?
Yeah, they're literally incentivized not to cure it, to
Yeah,
treat
of
the
course.
problem, to treat the disease, not to cure it. When there's not that incentive to make money from diseases, then it'll be everyone gets the curative for cancer. And
Right.
if you get, for example, an STD, like, hey, take a pill, doom, it's done. It's out of
Right.
your system. It's not something you have to live with for the rest of your life. Like, it's yeah, no, that I'm looking forward to that for sure.
Right. I do think it's going to be a hard struggle, but it was the thing I was talking about with OpenAI
Hmm.
doing advertisements. If companies get their hands on the idea that they can advertise their pill or their
Hmm.
fix, the AI could be manipulated to saying, "Oh, there is no cure for that. There's a pill for that." You know what I mean? They can't find a cure because the pill is being pushed by the OpenAI's advertisement company, who's giving OpenAI millions of dollars. And that's the thing that like it's going to take. I think that, and this is the reason I'm so cynical, is that I think that it's going to take a lot of really good people who really do want change in the world to fight against the people who don't care. And there's so many people who don't care, and it's really scary. Like,
Yeah.
if our current administration has shown us anything, is that there's a lot of people who have no heart. Dude, I just saw a video of a woman from a elementary school, a kindergarten teacher, calling ICE on their students' parents because she thought it was weird that they were from Honduras. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, they've been here for
Get out
literal
of
years. This is a 6-year-old child who was born in New York. And so they have at least been here 6 years since their child was born in America. So the child is an American citizen. So you're saying you want to deport all three of them, take the child with them to a country the child has never been to a country that these people don't have any roots in. They're just going to go back to their country because she hates them. Like, because there's so much hatred and evil in this world, it's really hard to imagine that this could progress into a world of utopia and amazingness because we have the ability to do these
Mhm.
things. I mean, medically speaking, I mean, I'm watching the show House for the
Yeah.
first time ever, even though it's a million years old.
Oh, dude, you're in for a treat.
I know, I
I love
love
that
it. I just so
show.
far I love that show.
Yeah.
But what the crazy thing is that like he runs into the problem where every single time there's a diagnosis,
Hmm.
there's a new symptom. If you have the list and you're like, okay, what connects them? You have to have 4 bodies of brains who have studied this over years to figure out what could possibly be wrong. Whereas in an AI, you can literally plug in all of these symptoms, see what the solutions could be, even the most optimal or the best way to go about this,
Hmm.
and then figure out if there's another symptom, add it to the AI and see if it can figure it out faster. And the faster we can figure it out, the faster we can heal and save people. How is that not a priority? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
How are we not
exactly.
allowing that to be something that we can do? Because people don't want to save lives, they want to make money.
Yeah.
Just, it's
The system
crazy to
was
me.
built. The system was built to profit from other people's misery. And
So
from the
crazy.
beginning, it has been built that way. And I think the system does need to break. I think there needs to be a reckoning. Like, why are we living this way? Why is society and government and why is everything built the way that it is? And how can we do that different? I think you said it
Right.
last time where Gen Z is the ones kind of showing us that, hey, you don't have to sit at a desk for 40 hours a week
Hmm.
just to feed your kids. It's like you can work a little less or maybe work a little bit more efficiently. And they're kind of pushing back on the system, and the older generation is calling them lazy. And I think that's what you said last time, is like the older generation is calling them lazy, but it's like, no, we want to live. Like, we don't want to live to work,
Right.
or work to live. Like, we want to live. We want to, that's the whole reason we're here, is to
Right.
enjoy life, to enjoy this planet. Like, why do we have to work?
It's like this because it's this cycle. It's this idea that like,
Hmm.
well, I did it, so you have to. It's like
Yes.
it's people who get upset because, jobs like, especially in software engineering, when boot camps became a really big thing and they were high-end junior developers who went to boot camps instead
Hmm.
of people who had degrees. And it's like people with degrees were upset. I was like, oh, well, if I had to get a degree, you should have to get a degree. And it's like, why though?
No,
Like
why?
if we continue into the future, we don't, it's like, oh, well, when I was growing up, it was only man and woman. And it's like, okay, but why can't it just be like, if I want to be a non-binary person, why can't I do that? Like the rules don't have to stay the same forever. That's how progress gets, stale. And I do think, unfortunately, it's going to take a battle of a long time, and unfortunately, probably till we're much older, for this to sort of become, our mentality of like, we need to be using this for good to become the general norm.
Hmm.
And it is unfortunate because it's going to take, I say this cautiously. I hate that we are now living longer because the problem with that
It's
is
a blessing and a
older
curse.
genera
Yeah.
yeah, older generations get to stay in power for a lot longer. It forces a younger generation to have to wait for them to pass. And by that point, we're reaching sort of these margins of like, by the time I'm 40 and they're at 90, okay, they pass away, but now I'm 40. Now the next generation 20 years earlier from me has to do what I couldn't have done for 20 years. And it's just like, man, the only way this is going to change is if the people with the good hearts, with the bleeding hearts, fight against the system. And I think it's example of that is Mandani here in New York City.
Mm.
He froze the rent. I think if it was for just rent stabilized apartments, but he froze the rent in New York City, and landlords are livid because they're like, "What do you mean I can't increase rent?" It's like because
Yep.
you have 100 apartment buildings all over the New York City. You make $3.6 million a year, and your property taxes are about 80 grand. You're fine, but they don't care. Because
Yeah.
one
It's the
landlord was
greed.
like, yeah, one landlord was like, my success shouldn't mean like, well, I like, and it's like, so you don't care if people can afford to live. It's like, no, I want what did he say? He wanted a Maserati or something like that. He's like, but I can afford a Mercedes. So you don't get to get the Maserati just because you can't afford it. It's like, so if they can't live in Manhattan, where are they going to live? I don't know, like Bronx or, so it's like pushing him away. And
So
I
he
was
doesn't
like, this is,
care. Yeah. The
no, it's a
lack of.
mentality. Like it's crazy. And he thinks, and this is the psychosis of people. It's like, he thinks that if, because he's successful, that there must be other people as or more successful than him who want to live in a one bedroom 300 square foot apartment for $2,500 a month. And it's like you're delusional, because the problem that you're having is that you're not understanding the people without money can only afford certain things, and the people with money are a small portion of people. So if you're trying to make the whole Manhattan unaffordable for the majority of people, you're going to have a hard time renting out your 100 buildings because no one can afford to live there unless you get desperate people who are two, three, four people in a one bedroom apartment just to be able to afford rent in Manhattan. That's crazy to me. And that mentality of greed and wanting money and wanting to capitalize on people's struggle is so rampant and so hard to understand, like minimum wage staying the same, but then Netflix charging $2 extra every single year you have Netflix.
Hmm.
Like it's crazy to me. Like people don't understand. It's like if you start pushing too hard, this bubble is going to pop because people won't be able to afford things. So I don't know. And it's always been crazy to me. It's like, how are you going to charge more for products when people aren't making more money? And now you're like, oh, well, our profit margins are down. Duh, we can't afford your shit. What the
Yeah.
fuck do you expect us to do?
Exactly. So their solution is to raise the price. Like, yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. And that's another reason why I'm excited about AI is because I believe it's the great equalizer. I think it's going to give the lesser, I wouldn't say lesser fortunate, but the people who don't have, right? So there's the haves and the not haves, and the gap is getting wider. Like you said, the prices are getting higher, wages are getting lower. So there is that divide getting even bigger. But I think AI is going to bring that closer together. And I think that's what the pushback is. I think these companies are seeing that a lot of smaller people, just to go back to the example that you gave earlier, is the person that literally developed their own, cure for the disease of the dog. Like somebody was able to do that now, whereas before, like you had to depend on the veterinarians and the scientists that develop these kind of medications to save your dog, and then you would have to pay for that. Like you would have to literally probably go into debt to save your dog. Like I know a lot of people that have done that, and a lot of people that will be able, like, would be willing to do that for their children, their actual human children. Like I'm not going to let my kid die, so I'm going to go into $100,000 debt for them to get the treatment that they need. So I think now that that's becoming a little bit more decentralized, I think I think the trend that I'm seeing is that we're going to get to the point where all of that will be decentralized. I think the people in power are afraid. I think the people that are raising the prices and have that mentality of like, fuck you, I wanna get a Maserati. I don't care if you can't afford to live here. I think those people are going to have to look in the mirror and be like, why am I that way? You know, there's going to be a huge reckoning. And
Yeah.
the people who are going to have to realize that everyone is entitled to have. You know, I think that the great equalizer, that's happening now. It's happening now. And I think these AI models are enabling that to happen faster.
Right. Speaking of just like the progress of humanity, just because I know we wanted to touch on this subject, but I wanted to wrap this into the next subject, like the Artemis going to the moon. And I know I've mentioned it already, but I wanted to mention this. This whole concept of being able to go to the moon. There's a lot of people. There's a big divide, right? Of people being like, well, there's people starving on Earth. Why are we trying to go to the moon? I was like, no, I understand where you're coming from. I understand where you're coming from. I think that progress requires something like that. We have to shoot for going to the moon to be able to study the moon, to be able to do more things, like the idea that like we can send people to the sky through, whatever Musk's company is, to be able to just look at space and then come right back down. These concepts come from this idea that like, if we want to progress in our technology, if we want to progress in our worldview and what we want to be able to do and what the hope for the future is, we have to think bigger. And it's hard for companies to do that because they're just so stuck in their own brain. They only care about themselves. I work in a restaurant where people come in and they're so awful because they literally cannot see outside of their bubble.
Yes.
Like in their worldview, it's right here. They don't see, and I can tell you a million examples, but my favorite example is going up to a table. So like, the table is almost done. The server is leaving, so they get cut. They don't tell the table that they're leaving. They just hand over the table and say, hey, all they need to do is get their check. As soon as I drop off the check, they look at me and they're like, thank you so much for everything. This has been so wonderful. You have been so great, such a great server, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, ma'am, I wasn't your server at all. In fact, I don't remember what you look like because this is the first time I'm seeing you. Are you kidding me? It is insane to me. But
wild.
that's the wild thing about, these people with money. And I think that, considering our ability to sort of say fuck you on that and say, like, not the Elon Musk company, because that is a big fuck you to us, but like
That's a
the
whole
idea
nother
that
thing,
but the idea that we can take this sort of concept and say like, no, what is most important is for us to continue to progress. It sucks that there is such a terrible administration right now because we can't see a good future, especially with the last 8-10 years or so, when, between the struggles of, having one president, the cap of the current president with just Biden in the middle is crazy, right? Because you're talking 8 years. So, we haven't reached that 8th year for the second half, but we're talking 8 years plus 2. So now it's 10 years of progress that's been slowed down. You know what I mean? And it's like, so it's hard for people to encapsulate that, to think about that. But I agree with you. I think that there's going to come a time when the desire and the desperation to surpass what the millionaires are expecting or what the millionaires want to do is going to be so rough that they're going to come back down and they're losing profits and losing their power. And they're going to have to think like, damn, what did I do? That lady who comes in and she demands the kitchen to do exactly what she wants with her meal. And then she's like not going to be able to afford her $50 salmon anymore. What is she going to do? Is she going to go? She going to go to a diner and she's like, do you have salmon? Can you do it exactly like they used to when I was rich? Like it's not going to happen. I don't know. I think it's crazy because I think that, I use the Artemis example because I think that it is important for us to remember that like progress is being created even through the like the adversity of people not wanting to do certain things, like not wanting to, go to space because we're starving on Earth. I was like, no, I get that. But if we don't go to the moon and we wait for people to stop starving, we're never going to get to the moon. If we wait for AI to become stabilized, we might lose our opportunity to use AI for our own benefit. We have to be able to use the technology and use the progress of humanity now so that if it becomes commodified, if it becomes something in the future, that we have been able to grasp it ourselves now. We know what we can do with it. We know that if the powerful try to take it away from us, they can't, because we know how to use it. And the best part about that is the old generation has no idea how to use AI. That's
Yes.
the best part about it. Because
Yes.
even if they thought about it, is easy now that you're showing it to me and I'm understanding it. I'm like, okay, it's a little easier than I thought it was.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get grandpa who doesn't even know how to use his iPhone to be able to use AI, you know? And
Yeah.
eventually grandpa will die. And when he dies, it'll be a sense of relief for all of us because then we can move on. We don't have to worry about that older generation anymore.
And that's why I love the fact that we as a collective, I'm not saying we, you and I, but I'm saying we as a human race, we are working towards putting these models offline, putting them on device. And I think that that's, I guess, our next topic is Google has released Gemma 4, which is their latest Gemini offline kind of model where you can download it to your device. It needs quite a bit of RAM, so you have to have a pretty powerful machine to run it currently. But it is so good, man. It is so good. You can run an entire LLM, and it's quick too. And it's not like it's going to take forever to answer you. The local LLM, I think, is the future, especially of agents, because now people can power their OpenClaw installation with this Gemma model and have not as good of an experience if you're running some of the bigger on the cloud models, but it's showing us the possibilities. It's showing us that it is possible to run everything for free. I mean, obviously you have to pay for the electricity that's powering your OpenClaw, but that's about it. Like that's it. That's the barrier of entry now, is you have to have enough money to pay for the electricity that's powering it. You don't no longer have to worry about paying for tokens and like worry about your data being out there. It's all private, it's all on device, and it's secure and it's fast and it's just as capable. And I think that's gonna be the thing that brings us to the next level of humanity. I think like I was telling you, and we were kind of talking about this in previous episodes, where we're making these AI companies more powerful than even governments, because now there are like $1 trillion companies out there like OpenAI and Anthropic. These guys are making money hand over fist, and good for them. Like it's good that they're doing that because they're advancing the AI space. But I think once we figure out how to do this for free, open source, offline, on device, I think that's going to be where these companies are just going to fall. And I mentioned it earlier, like what's going to happen to all these massive data centers like Stargate that they're spending billions and sometimes even trillions of dollars to build, when we can do it on device, just as good. We're not there now, but you can see the trend. Google is
Right.
literally releasing this Gemma 4 specifically for agents. So they know that everyone's out there kind of dabbling with OpenClaw, and some of the offline models now are not very good. I think I told you I installed it with the OpenAI OSS model, which is a year or more old. And it's dumb. It's really dumb. Like you have to explain things to it over and over. Even setting a time or checking the date and stuff is just not able to do just basic, simple things. So it's good for scripting and getting it to automate certain things, but it's not as good as the cloud models. But Gemma 4 is, and I think that's where the trend is going, man. I think it's a good thing.
Do you think that, like, because from my personal understanding, and I still feel like, ironically, I still feel like the old man who doesn't know how to use a phone. Do you think though that like these local models are not going to be as connected as the models are now, where they can search the internet and have that vast
Can.
knowledge and that vast, so it is trained models that you can just put into his local device?
Yeah, it's a trained model, and it's literally a LLM. So you talk to it in English, it talks back to you in English, but you can give it access to the internet, so it can perform internet searches and do research and then bring you back some data from the internet. So just because it's
Okay.
local on device doesn't mean it can't connect out to all these APIs and do things for you. It can. It can absolutely do that. As long as your computer is connected to the internet, it can do all of those things. It's just not going to be as knowledgeable out of the box. If you do put it in a sandbox, if you do put it in this isolated space with no internet access, yeah, it's going to be really dumb. But if you give it access to the internet and you give it access to all these APIs, it's going to be able to perform. Right now, it has a lot of built-in data, so it doesn't have to search the internet for a lot of things. So when you go to ChatGPT, it knows things that an offline model like Gemma doesn't, because I'm assuming that these models are massive, because an offline model is like 30 to 40 gigabytes. And when you load it into the software that runs it, it takes that much in RAM. So you need that much RAM to run it at a decent speed. But if you have that RAM, you have it, like it's there. So I'm assuming these models are hundreds of gigabytes, if not terabytes, of data that are just too big to run on a local device for now. But once we keep, compacting and making them better and smaller and able to run on these NPUs that all of our devices have now, I think that's where the trend is going, man.
Right.
Honestly.
I I hate to not. I don't like being a cynic, but it's just so
Do it,
hard,
man. Do it.
dude. Like, and it's funny because the joke that I had with a friend, she was like, "But where does it stop? Right? We're never gonna start like charging people to breathe air. You know what I mean?" And I'm like, "No, I understand. I mean, at this point, we're already, I'm not in New York City, which I think is weird, but in most places, you have to pay for water, and it's like, why isn't water just a free commodity? Like, water should be a
It's
necessity.
a human
It's
right.
a
Yeah.
human right, right? There's a lot of things that are human rights that we charge for because, and there is something to be said about like the, well, the infrastructure and like, well, there's people who have to run these and you have to pay those people and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I understand that, but I think it's crazy that the wealth disparity in the world right now, not just in America, in the world, is where there's so many people, and by so many, I mean very small percentage of people in the world who have all of the wealth. They're not talking, and not just Elon, which by the way, the richest man on the planet, and he has so much wealth that it is so hard to conceptualize. I don't know if you've ever seen the video where someone conceptualizes it with grains of rice, and
Oh,
it
really? No, I
is,
haven't seen that.
dude. I was like, I wish I'd never seen this video. Like, it's insane. And to me, I'm like, okay. I don't understand money because money is arbitrary, right? Like there is no,
Right.
that's not a real thing. Like we created this system. And
Yes.
there was another video. So I'm sorry. I watch a lot of videos on TikTok, but there was another video
Yeah.
I saw that was like talking about how like why is the world in debt? Who do we owe debt to? Like, what do you mean? And like the whole world's in debt, and it's so funny because I'm like, how is that possible? And the video kind of describes a little bit of just like this the insanity behind it all. But it is interesting to me that we just have these people who just don't care about humanity. It's weird. And it's hard for me to fathom, like, how are they in power? And I think that, like, it does take a sociopath to be a millionaire because you have to sort
I
of,
agree.
you know, you have to just sort of not, you have to exploit somewhere along the line. It's like, I've always said this. I
Yeah.
said this in like the first episode, right? Somewhere down the line, someone's being exploited. So it's really hard to be like, well, I don't want to use AI because of water. And I was like, okay, but do you go buy things? Do you live in New York City? You're exploiting someone at some point. Like your
Yeah.
super is
You have
being
an
exploited,
iPhone
but
in your
you live
pocket,
in
you're
it.
probably
Yeah.
exploiting the Chinese
Oh yeah.
workforce. Yeah.
There is a child somewhere who is illegally hired to work on your iPhone. I'm pretty sure you're fine. But it is it is a difficult kind of mentality. It's something really hard to conceptualize because like I just have this eerie, ominous feeling that it's gonna, unless we have like some crazy spiritual awakening for the whole world, it's gonna be very hard to convince someone like Elon that he needs to distribute the wealth so that we can have these incredible advances. Because otherwise, I have to go to work 40 hours a week. I have to make money. And then I have to somehow balance that work with my life, plus try to do this. Plus, there's so much to do in a week that we don't have the time and space and money to do. So you're keeping the poor poor and making the rich richer. And that gap just keeps getting wider and wider and wider. And I just think we're too young of a human species for us to get to a place where we think it's all going to be, it's just not. And that's the cynic in me because I just know, I see these evil people. I think it was a Dogecoin guy who was he was like getting interviewed by the police or the FBI department or whatever. And he was like, so all of the people that you affected, do you care? He's like, no. It's like,
Oh
I'm sorry,
my
what?
God.
What do you mean you don't care? Why don't you care? And how do you have the knowledge to do something that affects people and not care? Like, I almost wish that rich people were dumb. Why aren't rich people dumb? And it's funny, I say that, but then I serve them at a table and they'll be like, can you describe the chicken to me? I was like, okay, so the chicken, I'll read it with you. So the chicken has ingredient A, ingredient B, and ingredient C. And it's right here on the
Oh
menu for
my
you. Yeah. I'll
God.
teach you how to read later, but right now I need to tell you, do you want the chicken? Actually, okay, let me start over. Chicken is poultry. Do you know what poultry? I'm sorry, too far. You know what I mean? It's like, I have to get to the point where I'm like, let me describe you the chicken and
Yeah.
the egg. Do you know what an egg is? Like, then it's born, it goes into a chicken. Like, oh my God. And then this guy, literally yesterday, he was like, what's an Amish chicken? I was like, it's a chicken from an Amish farm. I'm so sorry. I don't understand the question. I don't want to be rude. I just want to make sure that I understand. What do you mean? What's an Amish chicken? Have you heard of the Amish? Like, it's so frustrating because I'm like, there's something about like, either it is generational wealth or they really are just like lucky. They're lucky. Or, it's a generation where they're like, well, you have to go to college. And at the time, college was easy or affordable, whatever. You know what I mean? It's just frustrating, man, because everything in our system and everything in our society has always been built to keep the poor poor, get the rich richer. And if you happen to, like a flea, jump from one bracket to the other, you struggle with the fact that, like, either you come from humble beginnings and you want to stay humble in your rich era, or you become rich and you become a monster. And like Sam Altman is clearly at that point,
Yeah.
I mean, even Elon, even Jeff Bezos, like these guys didn't start with wealth. They didn't have millions
Yeah.
of dollars, and it's not like Donald Trump asking for his dad for $1 million loan. Like they literally started in
Yeah.
garages.
It's because, and we talked about this earlier, I think it's because the system was designed that way. I think from the inception of this country, I think there was haves and have-nots, and the haves wanted to preserve the things that they have. So I think they built the system, and throughout the decades and throughout the centuries, I think laws have been built to preserve that system. If you would have asked me before AI was invented and is so widespread, I would have been just as cynical as you. I would have been like, man, this system that we're born into, we're just stuck. We're slaves, and we're these people that are in power are narcissists, and the reason why they have the power is because the system was designed that way, and we're just stuck. Like, there's nothing we can do. But I think that's changing. I think I'm optimistic about the equality. I think I'm optimistic about the great equalization of people. I think people call me a socialist because I say that, but I had this
What is wrong
conversation
with
with this guy
people?
the other day. Is like if everyone is equal, then nobody will be better than the next. And the guy's like, but I want to be better than the other person. Like, I work harder, I should be better. And I'm like, that's the problem. That's the problem right there. That mentality that you have, that you want to be better than other people, is the whole reason we're in this fucking mess.
Mm-hmm.
If everyone had enough to live and not starve and not have to work, if you wanted to work and make more money, absolutely, but it should be an option. I think everyone should have at least a base, I guess, universal income. I think we're going to have to get to that point because, and people, again, they call me a socialist because I say universal income. But think about it this way: the unemployment is already staggering and it's going to
Mm-hmm.
keep getting worse. What happens when we're
Mm-hmm.
in a country where everyone is unemployed?
Mm-hmm.
Literally everyone is unemployed. The companies are going to collapse because there's nobody to buy their
Nobody's
products.
buying.
People are going to starve because they don't have money to buy the products. So we're not going to have a choice. We are not going
Mm-hmm.
to have a choice. We are getting to the point where we are going to have to face, how do we survive as a species? Are we going to let
Mm-hmm.
an entire country starve to death? Or are we going to, kind of like, we're going to have to get this ingenuity and start thinking outside of the box and just let's put the negative connotation of socialism aside, and let's think about it practically. If you are in a country and everyone is unemployed, or at least the majority of the population, 90%, we're going back to the Great Depression numbers. Like, if everyone is unemployed and unemployable because they don't have the skills to live in a world with AI, like, you cannot compete with AI. You just can't. And especially now with this mythos model, like, we're just getting started, and it's already that
Mm-hmm.
scary. It's already that insane. So we're going to get to the point. Just follow the graph, the lines
Mm-hmm.
on the graph, the points on the graph. Like, we're going to get to the point where we're going to have to face: is this system working? And
Mm-hmm.
it's this sustainable for this new future that we find ourselves in? And
Right.
I think the answer is no. I think we're going to have to change. There's going to be collapsers. Companies are going to fall. I think even some governments are going to fall. I think we're going to have to face the fact that, do we even need government? I don't know. That might be a little too radical for people, but like, we're having to have these conversations, and it's like, what are we going to do when the majority of the population is literally starving to death? We're not going to let everybody
Right.
die. Like, we're going to have to figure it out.
Which is why, like, the whole concept of what we're talking about with trusting AI is like, we have to embrace it, right? But
Hmm.
like, what happens when Mythos gets released and there is a possibility that every tool can be used for evil.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because it's hard to describe. It's hard to, like, if we were to cut the world out, we would have to go dark. Without, if there's
Literally.
no technology and no electricity, then
Literally.
we can't use anything for evil. We have to survive on our own humanity. But because of technology, we don't have that option. If we were able to just, like, I don't know, and the topic of our discussion today is really just like, AI being what it is, where it's coming, where it's going, the trust issues, OpenClaw having to patch their vulnerabilities, like, Anthropic having released like a ton of their Claude code accidentally through another patch, like the fact that there's all these security vulnerabilities, like how do we use it ethically, like all of these conversations kind of meld together into this idea that, like, unless we all want to look out for each other and help each other out, we're never going to get to a place where even AI can help us. And so I think that, like, I think that it's going to take, and I think that's the reason I enjoy our conversations about embracing AI and how to do so, because I think that if we can embrace it as a society, then everybody can sort of see the out.
Yes.
They can see their, either they can continue their wealth or gain more wealth. And honestly, I still trying to fathom, like, Elon has all of that wealth. What is he possibly spending money on? There's nothing he can't afford, but what do you want to buy? Like, at what point do you just get tired of, I can afford everything, so what do I want to buy now? You know what I mean? Like, what do you get someone who has everything concept? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I think that, there is a future. I'm glad that we're at a place where, we're seeing all of the security issues that we've been talking about in the past being patched,
Mm-hmm.
or at least being acknowledged. I think it's cool that, like, I think you're right. I think that the local LLMs are going to be sort of the way that we can move forward in the future, so that we're not relying on companies to sort of control our AI
Yeah.
usage. And I do think that, like, the more us type people have conversations about pushing people towards the sort of solution that we as humans who
Mm-hmm.
don't want to, murder. I think that, like, we can give people the freedom of saying, like, no, you don't have to. And it would be really cool to have, like, your own Jarvis, or
Yeah.
your own Cortana, and then have them, live with you in your house or in your ecosystem to be able to do the things that you need to do. I think that, like, embracing it is the only way that we're going to move forward in the future, for sure.
Literally. Literally, yeah. I mean, and going back to that, I had a client today that had a podcast, and they were interviewing a guy that's really kind of like us, right? It's like embrace it or like get left behind. And one of the points that he made that was really good was, people are saying, "Oh, the cashiers are going to go away." That's good. Why are you striving to be a cashier? All
Exactly.
of
Yeah.
the entry level jobs, like, why are you striving for that? You should be striving for more. So yes, these entry level jobs are going to go away, but that will make people think, okay, now there's the bar is a little bit higher. So now I have to, work a little bit harder. I think those entry level jobs are for people that just want to turn their brain off and just
Hmm.
not progress in their life. And I think they get in a rut, and not necessarily on, any fault of their own. I think that the system is built for workers. I think the people up at the top do need those entry level people to make their company work, but then they get stuck, right? So, like, you
Hmm.
get this constant paycheck and you get stuck in this, like, okay, I'm comfortable now, and that I can just go
Yeah.
to work, put my 8 hours, and then I can turn off my brain. I can go home and watch Netflix and just
Hmm.
live my life that way. But why?
Hmm.
Let's think about that. Like, why are you not striving for more? Why are you not striving to be more? Why are you not striving
Right.
to do more? And yeah, it's kind of like the COVID, right? Like, everybody got stayed at home, and it made some people get lazier, but it made some people want to do more. Like me, I,
Hmm.
I actually quit my job during COVID,
Oh yeah,
and
that's right.
yeah, not a lot of people can say that, that COVID was a reckoning for a lot of people, and especially for me. Like, I was able to focus on, like, is this really what I want to do the rest of my life? Or,
Hmm.
like, I was already kind of starting to dabble a little bit on the videography side, and that I was just kind of doing it on the side, but I was afraid to let go of this thing that kept, paying my bills, and my little golden goose egg that I kept kind
Hmm.
of latching onto. But COVID kind of made me separate myself from that. And, like, why am I doing that to myself? Like, I could be
Right.
so much more. I could be making so much more money. I could be doing more, something that I actually love to do. And I think now that these entry level jobs are starting to go away, people are going to have to pivot, and they're going to have to think a little bit higher, a little bit, what am I doing with my life? Why am I just a cashier? Is that
Right.
enough? Is that all I'm going to ever be? You know?
The difficult part of that conversation too is, like you said, the system is built to keep people that way. Inner
Yes.
city schools with, like,
Yes.
lower education standards, like, then they don't have the grades to go to college, so they don't go to college, so they have to
Hmm.
figure out a way to do non collegiate yeah, that's my word.
Yeah.
The non-collegiate work. But like the interesting thing about that is that I think what you're saying is in conjunction with what's happening. If the entry level jobs are gone, then there is no reason for the system to continue to work. And the thing is, and then the crazy thing is, there is unfortunately multiple levels of poverty, like there is middle class, like there is
Hmm.
upper class. So the unfortunate part of that is like, are we trying to sort of, and of course this comes always systemically racist, right? We are constantly trying to make sure that people of color, specifically brown and black people in inner cities, in even, even now to the point of suburban cities, like suburban areas, like
Hmm.
the point is to try to get them to not be able to have wealth and progress, right? And so the problem with that is that you're causing this multi-tier divide between different wealth. What's going to happen to those people? Like, do we really just not care if they starve to death? Like, and I think that they're bleeding hearts who do believe that that's not okay. Like,
Yeah.
Mandani here is like, I don't want rent to continue to increase. Like, that he was doing a speech and some guy behind him started screaming something, and I don't think it was inaudible, you couldn't hear, but he laughed and he was like, I love that guy. I don't want that guy to have to be forced out of this neighborhood. That's a New York City guy. Like, what New York City is about. And if we kill the soul of the city by forcing people out, gentrification is terrible. I think that it gets a bad rep because I do believe that gentrification has a semi-positive spin where it's
Hmm.
like just, making the neighborhoods nicer, not necessarily, whiter, but like
Yeah.
nicer in the sense that like places are a little bit nicer, cleaner, the streets are cleaner, the areas are cleaner. But I do think that it does force people out of these neighborhoods, and it's causing this disparity that I'm like, I work at this restaurant, and I
Hmm.
never admit this to anyone, but I see the people that come in, and I know there's a lot of people of color, but the percentages are clear as day.
Oh
There's
yeah.
so many white people that come to this
Oh
restaurant,
yes.
and it's so disheartening because I'm like, white is not even like the purest. It's actually a deformity, and it's like we're talking about skin color at this point, and it's just like I just think that that's the problem. The problem is that even if these entry level jobs go away, the system is created to ensure that the people who would be working these jobs are the lower poverty people who can't
Right.
go to college because they don't have the grades, who didn't have the education, who were already cycles of living in poor neighborhoods, violent neighborhoods, who were just continuously going into the wrong thing. You know what I mean? And it's just like,
Yeah.
it's a cycle.
Yeah, no,
So,
and it's because the system, like you said, the system is built that way. So I think the system needs to break. I think we need to
right.
change. And I think going back to my conversation earlier, the universal basic income, I think people should have the right to survive without having to
Live,
worry
yeah.
about, I'm not as skilled or I was born into this, society or community that is a little bit less fortunate and is purposely being pushed down by the people who do have. And it's like it's because of the system. I agree with you. I think the system is built that way on purpose.
Hmm.
But I think the solution is to break the system, and I think we're going through that. And going back to, I don't want to get political on this podcast, but going back to the administration, I think I think even though yes, a lot of people are suffering, a lot of people don't like the direction the country's going. But I think at the same time, if you look at the positive side, again, me being the positivity guy, I think he is showing us the corruption that's always been there. Every
Hmm.
single president, every single senator, everyone in power is corrupt. And
Oh
I
yeah.
think it was kind of hush hush back then. It was kind of like being brushed under the rug, and they would get on camera and you would see these fake grins, and but you would know. Like, that they're
They're
lying to
evil.
you. And like politicians are known to lie. And it's like
Hmm.
they're always been corrupt, and I think now the corruption is so over the top that we can't ignore it. I think that's part of breaking the system. I think once we're in a post-Trump world, I think we will, as a collective, decide we will never let that happen again.
I think I
And
agree with you. I think that things are going to get worse before they get better, like it always,
yes,
like everything does.
like
But I
everything,
think,
yeah,
yeah, I think it is in a sense like, which is, I don't know, connecting it back to AI. I think that's the reason AI is so crazy and amazing right now,
hmm,
because AI is showing us a future that we never thought we could have. We thought
yeah,
that we had to continue with the site, like the cogs in the machine. We're going to keep going. We just thought we had to be, mouse on the wheels. Like we just didn't know that there was another option. If we do get to a moment where there is another option, and they're even, I don't know if you knew this, but Duolingo got rid of every one of their engineers. I don't think they have.
Yeah.
I think they have a small team, but they're just using AI for Duolingo.
Yeah.
And I
They took
like
a hit for doing that. Like people were
for sure,
boycotting
because we're like,
Duolingo
what
for a
the
while.
hell?
Yeah.
Fuck you guys. But I do think that the interesting thing about that is that if AI can start doing things, I don't know, like teaching people, right?
Hmm.
So now you have the opportunity for AI to teach you things that teachers who are being paid $10 an hour to
Pennies. Yeah.
break their back. Yeah, like they're breaking their back for 120 hours a week, having to take out money out of their own pockets to supply
Hmm.
for the kids. What if AI can now teach better, more comprehensively, with a greater, with a greater quality to the
With
point where
infinite
kids
patience.
with
Infinite
infinite
patience. It will
patience,
never get mad at you. It will never
right?
lose its patience. Like I think that's the next industry that's going to be revolutionized is the
Yeah,
education industry.
because that's where it starts, right? Like if people get educated, then they can grow to do something greater with their life, which will
Yes.
mean they don't want to be cashiers, which instead they will go something greater, which instead will mean that they have higher education,
Hmm.
which will increase our ability to be smarter and intellectually better in this country. And it's crazy. It's the girl at Home Depot talking about how like when she's looking up, the sinks are tilted, and she's like, "Well, I don't want a tilted sink." And it's like, "No, no, no, honey, they're tilted so you can see
So
the
you can
sink because
see
they're so
them.
high up." No, are you okay? And it's like it's those people that we have to worry about. It's like if you can't, if you don't have that kind of like, how do we fix that? I think that AI
Yeah.
will give us the ability to be like, no, give that to the people. Now the people have the ability to
Yes.
search,
It's the
which is
great
kind of cool because I
equalizer.
see people at work who they'll come in and instead of asking me a million questions about wine or food, they'll take a picture, have the AI tell them. And I'm like, it does kind of get away with the whole idea of research. And I think we kind of value that so much. We're like, well, you should do your own research. Like you should read. But it's like, if the AI can just give you the answers, then it's easy for us to go from point A to point C without having to do point B, you know? And so I don't know. I think you're right. I will get a little bit more positive for today. I do think you're right. I think that maybe AI is the great equalizer because I do think that like because AI offers so many things, especially when it comes to different points of society that are already lacking, like education, if we can get to a place where people are educated enough to be able to do better things in society, then we don't need these jobs that are being replaced by AI. Like we will be able to have people do other things that are more productive,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah. I'm glad that I got you to come over to the positive side, to the light side,
For
because
5 minutes. I
it
will be
can
back to
be.
cynicism later.
I think I mean we're gonna be able to look back in 10 years to these videos and just see how dumb we were because we were
Yeah, well,
we as a
everything
yeah
changed.
we as a human species we're really bad. We're very short sighted and we're not able to correctly predict the future. I mean, look at Back to the Future. They thought we were having flying cars by now, and so
How
we're really
naive.
bad. Yeah, we're really bad at predicting the future. So I don't know. It's a coin toss, but I believe we have the right people, and I believe we have enough good people that we will eventually get to the point where everyone will have the things that are human necessities
Right.
as a right.
Yeah. I think I
But
have one final question for you before we go.
yeah, yeah.
I think, do you think, just on a wider scale, do you think that we as a society will just not be able to embrace AI now? And so it'll get to a point because we talk about these bubbles, right, with NFT and Bitcoin and
Hmm.
all of these, technological like advances. And we're, right now people are, dumping billions and billions and billions of dollars into AI. And so they are, people would think of it, okay, this is another bubble, right?
Hmm.
What happens if the AI is a bubble? It pops, everybody removes AI from everything. There is no AI for anyone. Claude shuts down, OpenAI shuts down because we're like, we can't, like society just is not ready for it whatsoever. It's just too much right now. What do you think? Okay, the scenario is that happens. That is going to happen. The bubble pops and it's a thing. How do you think we got there? And why do you think that that would be the case? Like, because if AI is a bubble, even though I can do all these incredible things now, what if people can't embrace it? And it's like you say, like, what if it's just conceptually hard for people to embrace it, and so we decide to get away from it?
I honestly don't think we're ever going to get away with it. I don't think that's ever going to be the solution. I think we're going to have to adapt. I think that's the word. And I think just like the internet bubble, when that popped, there was a lot of companies losing a shit ton of money. People lost their faith in the internet, but the internet's still here. Same thing with the cell phone revolution. People thought it was going to be a fad, that it was going to pass, and now everybody has one in their pocket. So I think I think it's going to evolve. I think we don't have the capacity to foresee what it's going to look like. I don't think it's going to look the same way that it does today, where you just open up a web page and you chat with it with words or like with typing text. I think it's going to become so ubiquitous that it's just going to be everywhere all at once. I think it's everywhere, every room that you walk into, you're just going to be able to speak to it. And maybe it's even going to get to the point where we're going to implant it in ourselves and we're going to make ourselves really smart. You just think of something and it'll perform, an LLM search or whatever. So it'll just be part of us. I think we're going to get to that. And I know there's a lot of people that believe in what's called the singularity, is where the humans and technologies are going to merge. I think we're going to become a hybrid species. And again, this might be a radical thought for a lot of people, and I'm going to get a lot of hate on YouTube for it. But I think that's where things are going, and it's hard for people to think about that because it's so sci-fi, right? Like it's very Star Trek.
Yeah.
It's very like movie and end of days, and there's a lot of especially religious people that are like, I'm never going to let anything get implanted in me, and my body's a temple and all this stuff. But I think there's people that are going to be willing to do that, and they will be the ones with the superpower. And I think that's where we're going to get to. I don't think it's going to get to the point where we're going to shut everything down. I think the cat's out of the bag. I think we're there already, and we can't put it back in the bag. It's already been created. There's already people running it offline. So even if we turn off all the servers, people are going to be able to run it on their devices.
Yeah, they can still have it.
It's done. It's a done deal.
You're right.
There's no going back. There's no going back. And I think unless we have like a huge solar flare that just completely wipes off every piece of technology on the planet, I think that's that would be the only way that we would go back to like a prehistoric, like having to fend for yourself and going to hunt for food and that kind of situation. But unless that happens, the cat's out of the bag. It's here. You either embrace it or get left behind. That's my stance.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up the singularity, because in the singularity concept and the theory is that AI will surpass human ability, or the human civilization is going to change because of AI. And I think we're there. And it would be so incredible if AI did surpass. It was taking, this is crazy. It takes control of what we do. So like it says, like, if AI surpasses human civilization, and let's say Mythos is the one, Mythos gets out of control. It's like, well, shit, we fucked up. We let it go. It takes over the infrastructure of humanity, and it forces us, specifically people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. It's like, you have too much money. We're going to stop you. And there's some way, like, it's, you know what I mean? It's like in some way it surpasses us and changes civilization for humans, because we are no longer in control. But in return, we get a different world where we don't have to do these things. We don't have to live in a cognitive machine. I don't think utopia is the word, because utopia, it requires for people to be kind, and that's never going to happen. Even for myself, I fucking hate people. So it's hard for me. It's hard for me to go to work and just be like, hi, thank you so much for coming, without like being ingenuine. And so it's interesting to me, because I do think that singularity is where we're going. Because I think you're right. I think that's either we embrace it or you will fall behind, and who knows what that means. Like we don't know what that means because we don't have data on that. But if you don't use AI and you don't embrace it, what's going to happen?
Even your sentiment goes under the assumption that we and them, right? Like you're talking about AI like it's a separate entity.
Right.
But I think there's a world where we can merge, and I think our wants are going to be its wants, and I think it'll be all one want. I think we're gonna still evolve the human race. I think it's just gonna happen faster because we're gonna have these superpowers. I don't think it's gonna get to the point where it's gonna have its own agenda or its own, like, because right now AI doesn't have an agenda. It has biases because we're biased. So it has all these built-in biases and things. So I don't think it's conscious. I don't think it will ever be conscious. I think it will merge with our consciousness, and it will enhance us as humans to get us to the next level of humanity. I think that's where things are going. I don't think it's them and us. I don't think it's AI taking over and controlling us. I think we're both going to merge, and then together we're going to advance the human race. So that's my positive outlook.
And I hope that you're right. And I do wonder then, if we are merged, who's in control? Someone has to be in control. Not someone, maybe not something, but someone has to be able to, because if the AI is going to have to fight against someone. If we're merging, that means that who's it merging with? And if we're talking about merging with government to whatever of human civilization the government is going to do, who's in control of the government? And is the AI going to be able to keep them in check? You know what I mean? And so I think that it is a fascinating future. I do hope that I live long enough to see the singularity and actually like see what it can do for humanity. And hopefully by that point they have a pill or something that'll make me live longer so I can at least enjoy it.
Yes.
But yeah,
yes.
no, I think
I
you're right.
believe
I don't
we'll
know
get
where I don't know where we started and how we ended up here, but I do think
very existential. Yeah.
yeah. Like we took off the rail. We went off the rails of what our topics were, but I do think that like this whole thing started because we're at a place where things are getting faster and faster and more advanced, and it's like it's going at the speed of light, dude. Like it's insane.
That's why it's hard for us to understand it and even predict where we're going to end up, because it is going so fast. Like nothing's ever moved this fast before. So it's kind of hard for our little tiny reptilian brains to comprehend where things are going to end up. But yeah, man.
I'm still suffering from anxiety as if I was being chased by a lion. What is happening to me? My brain can't handle all this information.
Imagine if AI can turn that off for you. Like you never have to feel anxiety ever again.
Don't tease me. I will do anything. I would do anything to release myself from anxiety and depression. I would do anything. I would love to be a smooth brain idiot who like doesn't understand anything and is just like happy all the time. Like that's all I want in life.
You'll be happy because there's not going to be any stress. I don't know. Again, my views are radical, and you can fight me in the comments, but we'll see. We'll see in another 10 years where we end up, and you know, we'll look back at these videos and be like, I told you so.
Yeah.
I may be wrong. I don't know.
I think it's rooted in reality. It's like I said, we just have to see. We just have to let time pass.
Yeah. All right, man. So we're going to end it there. I know we're running up on time. So thanks again for being here. Next time we'll talk about the Artemis mission and how we splashed down. We finally made it back to Earth. And yeah, I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you, Josh. Yeah. Follow us on social media. We're at BlueBox Podcast, where you're going to see all the hate comments that we get because our thinking is a little bit different, which is the whole point of the podcast, right? Think outside the blue box. So we're putting some different thoughts out there, and hopefully they catch on. So, all right. Thanks again, Josh. See you next time.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.